Maya Bennett thought a simple text mistake would cost her nothing more than embarrassment. She had no idea it would put her heart, her home, and her future on the line. When a stranger appeared at her door with flowers after her wrong number mishap, she never imagined that letting him help with one innocent shelf would turn her neighbors into enemies and her landlord into a threat. But what Maya discovered when she overheard Evan's secret phone conversation about managing their relationship for appearances would either destroy the love she'd fought so hard to trust or reveal a truth that would change everything. In a building where every kiss is watched and every visitor is judged, can two people build something real when the whole world seems determined to tear them apart? The answer will shock you, and the way this story ends will restore your faith in love when you least expect it. If you're ready to dive into this emotional roller coaster, hit subscribe and tell me what city you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. Maya Bennett stared at the stack of brown boxes filling her new living room. Sunlight streamed through the bare windows of her apartment, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the air. She'd been in this place for exactly 3 days, and it still didn't feel like home. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. The furniture delivery company. Finally, she grabbed her phone and quickly typed out her new address. 847 Pine Street, Apt 4B. Her finger hovered over the send button for a moment before she hit it. There. Now she just had to wait for her couch and dining table to arrive. Maya walked to the window and looked down at the quiet street below. The building was older but well kept, the kind of place where neighbors knew each other's names. She hoped it would be different from her last apartment, where she'd barely spoken to anyone in 2 years. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Are you sure this is the right number? Maya's stomach dropped. She looked at her text again and immediately saw her mistake. She'd typed 847 when her address was 874. The last 2 digits were switched. She quickly typed back, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I gave you the wrong number by mistake. I meant to text my furniture company." The response came fast. "No problem at all. I'm actually pretty close to Pine Street. This number might be recycled from an old delivery service." Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. Even through text messages, she was embarrassing herself with strangers. She typed, "Again, really sorry for bothering you. You didn't bother me. Good luck with your move." Maya set her phone down and shook her head. Great start in the new neighborhood. At least the stranger seemed nice about it. She spent the next hour unpacking dishes and trying to figure out where everything should go. The apartment was small but had good natural light. Her old place had been dark and cramped. This felt like a fresh start. Her phone buzzed again. The same unknown number. "I hope I'm not overstepping, but if the mix-up caused any hassle with your delivery, I'd be happy to leave flowers at your lobby as a goodwill gesture. Only with your permission, of course." Maya read the message 3 times. Flowers? From a complete stranger? Her first instinct was to say no. She didn't know this person. But something about the way he asked with permission made her pause. She thought about it for a full 5 minutes before responding. "That's very kind, but you don't need to do that. It was my mistake. I know I don't need to. I'd like to. New apartments should start with something nice." Maya found herself smiling at her phone. When was the last time someone had offered to do something kind without wanting anything in return? She couldn't remember. "Okay," she typed. "Lobby only, though. And thank you." "Perfect. I'll be there in an hour, if that works." Maya looked around her messy apartment and then at herself in the hallway mirror. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she was wearing old jeans with paint stains. Not exactly first impression material, but this wasn't a date. It was just a stranger dropping off flowers to apologize for a text mix-up. She didn't need to dress up for that. An hour later, Maya's phone buzzed. "I'm at the front desk." She took the elevator down to the lobby, her heart beating a little faster than normal. Through the glass doors, she could see a man standing near the reception area. He was tall, probably around 6 feet, with brown hair and a kind face. He wore simple jeans and a blue button-down shirt. Nothing fancy. Maya pushed through the lobby doors. The man turned toward her and smiled. It was the kind of smile that reached his eyes. "Maya?" he asked. "That's me." She walked closer but kept some distance between them. "You must be my wrong number friend." "Evan," he said, extending his hand. "And you're right about the friend part. I feel like we're past strangers now." His handshake was firm but not aggressive. Maya noticed he didn't try to hold on too long. On the reception counter sat a simple bouquet of yellow daisies. Not expensive roses or anything showy. Just cheerful, bright flowers that looked like sunshine. "These are beautiful," Maya said. "But you really didn't have to." "I know," Evan said. "But new beginnings should be celebrated, even the ones that start with wrong numbers." Maya picked up the small card attached to the flowers. In neat handwriting it said, "Welcome home." Something warm spread through her chest. "Thank you. This is really sweet." Evan put his hands in his pockets, a gesture that somehow made him seem less intimidating. "I noticed you have some boxes by the elevator. If you're comfortable with it, I could help carry one upstairs. Just one, and only if you want the help." Maya hesitated. She'd learned to be careful about letting strangers into her space. Her ex-boyfriend Jordan had always criticized that about her, called her paranoid and unfriendly. But something about Evan felt different. He wasn't pushing, he was offering. "One box," she said, "but my door stays open." Of course. They rode the elevator up to the 4th floor in comfortable silence. Evan carried a lightweight box, marked bedroom linens, while Maya held her flowers. At her door, she propped it open with her foot and gestured for him to set the box just inside the entryway. "Thank you," she said as he placed it down carefully. "I really appreciate this." "Thank you for trusting me," Evan replied. "I know it's not easy to let a stranger help." The way he said it made Maya think he understood something about being careful, about building trust slowly. "Have a good rest of your day," Evan said, stepping back into the hallway. "I hope the move goes smoothly." Maya watched him walk to the elevator and wave goodbye as the doors closed. She stood in her doorway for a moment, holding the flowers and trying to figure out why this simple interaction had made her feel so hopeful. Back inside her apartment, she found a glass to use as a makeshift vase and set the daisies on her kitchen counter. The bright yellow petals made the whole space feel more alive. Her phone rang. Her sister Renee's face appeared on the screen for a video call. "Hey girl," Renee said when Maya answered. "How's the new place?" "Good," Maya said, adjusting the phone so Renee could see the living room. "Still unpacking. But wait," Renee's voice sharpened. "Are those flowers behind you?" Maya turned to look at the daisies. "Oh, yeah. Funny story, actually." She explained about the wrong number and Evan's kind gesture. As she talked, she watched Renee's expression shift from curiosity to concern. "So let me get this straight," Renee said when Maya finished. "A random man you've never met showed up at your building with flowers and you let him into your apartment." "Not into my apartment," Maya corrected. "Just to the door. And it stayed open the whole time." "Maya." Renee's voice carried that protective tone she'd used since they were kids. "I know you want to think the best of people, but you don't know anything about this guy. I know he asked permission before doing anything. I know he kept his distance. I know he didn't try to push for more than I was comfortable with." Renee was quiet for a moment. Maya could practically hear her sister's thoughts spinning. "Just be careful, okay?" Renee finally said. "Good men respect your pace and your boundaries. Make sure he does that." "I will," Maya promised. "It was just a nice gesture. I probably won't even hear from him again." But as she said the words, Maya found herself hoping that wasn't true. After ending the call with Renee, Maya continued unpacking. She was pulling books from a box when she heard footsteps in the hallway outside her door. She glanced up to see an older Latina woman walking past. The woman's eyes landed on the flowers visible through Maya's open door, and she slowed her pace. The woman who Maya assumed was a neighbor gave Maya a small smile, but there was something assessing in her expression, not unfriendly, but definitely curious. Maya smiled back and gave a little wave. The woman nodded and continued down the hallway. Maya made a mental note to introduce herself properly soon. In a building like this, it was probably smart to get to know the neighbors. The rest of the afternoon passed quietly. Maya's real furniture delivery arrived right on schedule. 2 men hauled her couch and dining table up the stairs while she directed them around boxes and tried to envision how everything would fit. By evening, her apartment was starting to look less like a storage unit and more like a home. She ordered pizza for dinner and sat on her new couch, looking around at her space. The flowers on the counter caught her eye every few minutes, adding a splash of color and warmth to the room. As she was getting ready for bed, her phone buzzed with a text from the same unknown number. "Evan, I hope your delivery went smoothly and that you're settling in well. Sleep well in your new home." Maya stared at the message for a long moment. It wasn't pushy or demanding, just nice, thoughtful. She typed back, "It did, thank you. And thank you again for the flowers. They made everything feel more like home. I'm glad. Good night, Maya." "Good night, Evan." Maya plugged her phone in to charge and walked to her bedroom. Through her window, she could see lights in the apartments across the street, people living their lives, settling in for the night. For the first time in months, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The next morning, Maya woke up to rain tapping against her bedroom window. She made coffee and sat at her small dining table, looking out at the grey sky. She had the day off from her job at the medical billing company, which meant she could focus on making her apartment feel more organized. She was dragging a flat box into the living room when her phone buzzed. "Evan again. Good morning. I hope this isn't too forward, but I grew up helping in my dad's hardware store. If you need help putting together furniture or mounting anything on the walls, I'm around today. Only if you want help, and we could keep your door open with a neighbor around, or not at all. Whatever makes you comfortable." Maya read the message twice. She looked at the box in front of her, a shelf unit she'd bought online. The instruction manual was already giving her a headache just thinking about it. She thought about Renee's warning, about being careful with strangers, but she also thought about how respectful Evan had been yesterday, how he'd asked before doing anything, how he'd suggested ways to make her feel safe. She typed, "I do have a shelf that needs assembling. If you're serious about helping, could we do it tomorrow afternoon? Maybe around 2 p.m? I could ask one of my neighbors to hang out in the hallway while we work." The response came quickly, "That sounds perfect. I'll bring basic tools. Thank you for trusting me with this." Maya felt a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. Was she making a smart choice or a stupid one? She decided to trust her instincts for now. If anything felt wrong tomorrow, she could always change her mind. She spent the rest of the day organizing her closet and setting up her bedroom. Every so often, she caught herself glancing at her phone, wondering what Evan was doing. Did he live nearby? What was his apartment like? What did he do for work? She realized she was curious about him in a way she hadn't been curious about anyone in a long time. That evening, Maya knocked on the door across the hall. She'd seen the nameplate. E. Alvarez, the woman who'd noticed her flowers yesterday. The door opened to reveal a woman in her late 60s, with silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. She wore a soft cardigan and had kind but sharp eyes. "Hello," the woman said. "You must be the new tenant in 4B. "I am," Maya said. "I'm Maya Bennett. I wanted to introduce myself." "Elena Alvarez," the woman replied with a warm smile. "I've been in 4A for 15 years. Welcome to the building." "Thank you. I was wondering if you might be free tomorrow afternoon around 2 p.m. I know this might sound strange, but I have a friend coming to help me build some furniture, and I'd feel more comfortable if a neighbor was around. Maybe you could sit in the hallway while we work. I'd keep my door open." Mrs. Alvarez studied Maya's face for a moment. "Is this friend someone you've known long?" "Not long," Maya admitted. "But he seems nice. I just want to be smart about it." "Smart is good," Mrs. Alvarez said with approval. "I'll bring my knitting and camp out in the hallway chair. What time did you say?" 2 o'clock? "Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We neighbors look out for each other here," Mrs. Alvarez said. "That's how it should be." Maya went back to her apartment feeling grateful. Having Mrs. Alvarez nearby tomorrow would make everything feel safer and more comfortable. The next day arrived grey and cloudy. Maya spent the morning cleaning her apartment and moving boxes out of the living room to make space for building the shelf. She changed clothes twice, finally settling on jeans and a simple green sweater that made her feel confident but not like she was trying too hard. At 1:55 p.m., she heard Mrs. Alvarez setting up a chair in the hallway. Maya opened her door and waved to her neighbor, who had brought a basket of colorful yarn and knitting needles. "He's not here yet," Maya said. "Men are always late," Mrs. Alvarez replied with a knowing smile. "Unless they're very good men. Then they're right on time." At exactly 2 p.m., the elevator dinged and Evan stepped out. He carried a small toolbox and wore jeans and a grey Henley shirt. His hair was slightly damp from the drizzle outside. "Good afternoon, Mrs." He approached Mrs. Alvarez first, extending his hand politely. "Alvarez," she said, shaking his hand and studying his face. "You must be the furniture helper." "I am," Evan said. "Thank you for supervising. I appreciate neighbors who look out for each other." Mrs. Alvarez's expression softened slightly. Polite. We'll see." Evan turned to Maya with a smile. Ready to tackle some furniture assembly? As ready as I'll ever be, Maya said, gesturing toward her open door. They spread the shelf pieces across her living room floor. The instruction manual was even more confusing than Maya had feared, with tiny diagrams and multiple steps that seemed to assume she had 4 hands. Okay, Evan said, sitting cross-legged on the floor and studying the manual. This doesn't look too bad. Mind if I ask where you want this when it's finished? Maya pointed to the wall near her window. Over there, for books and maybe some plants. Good spot, Evan said. Natural light for the plants, and if we anchor it properly to the wall, it'll be sturdy enough for plenty of books. They worked together systematically. Evan explained each step as they went, asking Maya's opinion about measurements and screw placement. When they needed to drill pilot holes, he showed her how to use the drill and let her do some of the work herself. My dad always said measuring twice and drilling once saves you from having holes in the wrong places, Evan said, as Maya lined up a screw. Your dad sounds wise, Maya said. Did you work in his store growing up? Every summer from the time I was 12, Evan said. I complained about it then, but I'm grateful now. There's something satisfying about fixing things with your hands, instead of just talking about them in meetings all day. What do you do in meetings all day? Maya asked, then immediately worried she was being too nosy. Sorry, you don't have to answer that. It's fine, Evan said. I run a company that connects people with home service providers, plumbers, electricians, that kind of thing. It's good work, but sometimes I miss the simple satisfaction of actually fixing a leaky faucet instead of just finding someone else to do it. Maya nodded. She understood the difference between thinking about work and doing work that felt tangible and real. From the hallway, Mrs. Alvarez called out, "How's it going in there?" "Great," Maya called back. "We're almost done with the frame." "He asked before touching your things?" Mrs. Alvarez asked. Maya glanced at Evan, who was grinning slightly. "Yes, ma'am," he asks, before touching anything. "Good. Keep it that way." Evan looked at Maya with raised eyebrows. "I like your neighbor. She doesn't mess around. She's protective," Maya said. "I appreciate it." "You should," Evan agreed. "Everyone needs people looking out for them." They finished assembling the shelf and carefully mounted it to the wall. When they were done, it was perfectly level and solid. Maya ran her hand along the smooth wood surface. "It's beautiful," she said. "Thank you so much for helping." "Thank you for letting me help," Evan said, packing up his tools. It felt good to build something instead of just talking about building things. As they cleaned up the packaging materials, Maya found herself not wanting the afternoon to end. Evan had been patient and kind. He'd explained things without making her feel stupid. He'd listened to her ideas and incorporated them into their work. But more than that, he'd made her feel capable, like she could learn to use tools and build things herself if she wanted to. "All right," Evan said, shouldering his toolbox. "I should head out and let you enjoy your new shelf." "Thank you again," Maya said, walking him to the door. "I really can't tell you how much I appreciate this." "Any time," Evan said. Then he turned to Mrs. Alvarez, who was still knitting in the hallway chair. "Thank you for keeping an eye on things. Mrs. Alvarez, Maya's lucky to have a neighbor like you." "We'll see how lucky she is," Mrs. Alvarez replied, but there was warmth in her voice. "You did good work today," noted. After Evan left, Maya stood in her doorway talking with Mrs. Alvarez for a few minutes. "He asked before touching anything," Mrs. Alvarez observed. "That's important, and he thanked me for watching. Shows respect." "What did you think of him?" Maya asked. Mrs. Alvarez gathered her knitting supplies. "Too early to say, but his hands were steady, and he didn't try to take over your project." "That's something." That evening, Maya arranged some of her books on the new shelf. She left space for the plants she planned to buy. The whole apartment felt more settled now, more like a real home. Her phone buzzed as she was making dinner. A text from Evan. "Thanks again for letting me help today. The shelf looks great in that spot. Hope you're enjoying your new space." Maya smiled as she typed back, "Thank you for being so patient with me. I felt like I actually learned something instead of just watching someone else do the work. You did great. Building things gets easier with practice." Maya was about to put her phone away when another text came through. "I hope this isn't overstepping, but would you like to get coffee sometime? Somewhere public, completely casual. I'd like to get to know you better, if you're interested." Maya stared at the message. Coffee, public place, casual. Everything about the invitation felt thoughtful and respectful. She thought about Renee's warning to be careful, about taking things slow, about the fact that she didn't really know Evan yet, but she also thought about how he'd made her laugh today, how he'd treated Mrs. Alvarez with kindness, how he'd asked permission before doing anything in her space. She typed, "I'd like that. There's a cafe called Sunrise 2 blocks down Pine Street. Would Saturday afternoon work? Maybe 3 p.m. Perfect. Looking forward to it." Maya set her phone down and looked around her apartment. The shelf looked beautiful against the wall. The flowers from yesterday were still bright and cheerful on her counter. Everything felt exactly right. For the first time in a long time, she was looking forward to Saturday. But as she was getting ready for bed, her phone pinged with an email notification. The sender was Pine Terrace Property Management, her landlord. Maya's stomach dropped as she read the subject line. Lease finalization, pending review. She opened the email with shaky fingers. "Dear Miss Bennett, we hope you are settling into your new home at Pine Terrace. We wanted to follow up regarding the finalization of your lease agreement. We've received some concerns from other tenants regarding increased traffic and unfamiliar visitors to your unit. While we appreciate that moving in requires help from friends and family, we want to ensure all residents feel comfortable and secure in their building. Please respond at your earliest convenience to discuss these concerns. Lease finalization is pending until we can address these matters. Best regards, Pine Terrace Management." Maya read the email 3 times, her heart sinking with each pass. Concerns about visitors? She'd had exactly 2 people up to her apartment, the furniture delivery guys and Evan. That was it. Someone had been watching. Someone had complained. Maya's first instinct was anger. She'd done nothing wrong. Evan had been perfectly respectful, and Mrs. Alvarez had been right there the whole time. But the anger quickly gave way to fear. She needed this apartment. The lease deposit had taken most of her savings. If they decided not to approve her lease, where would she go? With trembling fingers, she composed a response. "Dear Pine Terrace Management, thank you for reaching out. I want to assure you that I am committed to being a respectful tenant and good neighbor. The increased traffic you mentioned was a furniture delivery on my first day, which was scheduled in advance, and one afternoon when a friend helped me assemble furniture. The friend's visit was supervised by my neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, who remained in the hallway during the entire time with my door open. I understand the importance of building security and am happy to discuss any specific concerns you may have. I look forward to resolving this matter and finalizing my lease. Best regards, Maya Bennett." She read her response 5 times before sending it, trying to make sure it struck the right tone, respectful, but not apologetic, for things she hadn't done wrong. After hitting send, Maya sat on her couch and looked around her apartment. The shelf Evan had helped her build, the flowers that had welcomed her home, everything that had felt so right just a few hours ago. Now it all felt fragile, temporary. Her phone buzzed with a text message. "Evan, just wanted to say thanks again for today. I had a really good time getting to know you. Looking forward to Saturday." Maya stared at the message, her throat tight. How could she explain that their coffee date might not happen, that she might not even be living in this apartment much longer? She thought about texting him right away to explain about the landlord's email. But what would she say? That someone in the building had complained about him? That his help with the shelf might cost her the apartment she'd barely started to call home? Instead, she typed, "Me too. See you Saturday." She would figure out what to say later. Right now, she just needed to hope that her response to the property management company would be enough to smooth things over. Maya turned off the lights and headed to bed, but sleep didn't come easily. She lay in the dark thinking about how quickly things could change, how a simple act of kindness, flowers, and help with furniture could somehow become a threat to her security. Outside her window, the rain started again, tapping against the glass like tiny fingers. Maya pulled her blanket up to her chin and tried not to think about packing boxes again. She'd just have to wait and see what tomorrow would bring. The next morning, Maya woke up with a knot in her stomach. She checked her email immediately, hoping for a response from property management. Nothing yet. She made coffee and sat at her dining table, looking at the shelf Evan had helped her build. In the morning light, it looked sturdy and beautiful. She tried to focus on that instead of worrying about things she couldn't control. Maya spent the morning organizing her closet and trying to stay busy. Around noon, she sat down with a piece of paper and wrote out what Renee would call a boundary list. If she was going to keep seeing Evan, and she wanted to, she needed to make sure everyone felt comfortable about it. She wrote, "Daytime visits only. Door stays open when he's here. Neighbor nearby during visits. Scheduled times, not surprise drop-ins. Maya looked at the list and nodded. These were reasonable rules that would help her feel safe, while hopefully keeping the neighbors from worrying. At exactly 2 p.m., her doorbell rang. Maya checked her peephole and saw Evan standing in the hallway with his toolbox. She'd texted him about returning the extra pack of screws they hadn't used yesterday. "Come in," Maya called, propping her door open. Mrs. Alvarez was already sitting in the hallway chair with her knitting. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Alvarez," Evan said warmly. "How are you today?" "Fine, fine," Mrs. Alvarez replied, but Maya could see her watching Evan carefully. Maya handed Evan the boundary list. "Before we hang out more, I thought we should have some clear rules, to make everyone comfortable." Evan read the list out loud, nodding as he went through each point. Daytime only, door open, neighbor nearby, scheduled times. These all sound completely reasonable to me. "Really?" Maya had expected him to think the rules were too much. "Really," Evan said. "Trust has to be built slowly. I respect that you want to be smart about this." From the hallway, Mrs. Alvarez called out, "Smart girl, you keep those rules." Evan grinned at Maya. "I like that she's on your side." "She's on everyone's side," Maya said, "as long as they deserve it." Evan returned the screws and left exactly when Maya's wall clock showed 3 p.m. As he walked toward the elevator, he turned back. "Still on for coffee Saturday?" he asked. "Definitely," Maya said. After he left, Mrs. Alvarez packed up her knitting. "He follows your rules without complaining. That's good. Most men want to negotiate everything." "You really think he seems okay?" Maya asked. "So far," Mrs. Alvarez said. "But keep watching. Good behavior for 2 days doesn't make a good man. Good behavior for 2 months might." Saturday arrived bright and sunny. Maya changed clothes 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a soft blue sweater. Casual but nice. She walked the 2 blocks to Sunrise Cafe, arriving a few minutes early. The cafe was busy but not crowded. Small tables, warm lighting, the smell of fresh coffee and baked goods. Maya chose a table near the window where she could see the street. Evan arrived right at 3 p.m. He wore khakis and a green button-down shirt that brought out his eyes. When he spotted her, his whole face lit up with a smile. "Perfect table," he said, sitting across from her. "I love people watching." They ordered coffee and shared a blueberry muffin. The conversation started with safe topics, favorite coffee drinks, the weather, how Maya was settling into the neighborhood. But gradually, they moved into deeper territory. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said, breaking off a piece of muffin. "You mentioned your dad's hardware store yesterday. Do you still live near your family?" "About an hour north of here," Evan said. "My parents still run the store, though Dad keeps threatening to retire. I drive up most Sundays for dinner with them and my sister." "That sounds nice," Maya said. "Close, but not too close." "Exactly. What about you? Is your family nearby?" Maya hesitated. She usually kept family details private until she knew someone better. But something about Evan made her want to share. "My sister Renee lives about 20 minutes away. She's protective of me. Sometimes too protective, but I'm grateful for it." "Protective how?" Evan asked gently. Maya stirred her coffee, thinking about how much to say. "I dated someone for 2 years who wasn't very nice to me. He criticized everything I did, made me second-guess myself constantly. Renee watched it happen and hated feeling helpless to stop it." "I'm sorry," Evan said. "That sounds really hard." "It was," Maya said. "When I finally ended things with Jordan, I realized I'd stopped trusting my own judgment about people. Renee's been helping me remember that I'm actually pretty good at reading situations when I trust myself." Evan nodded thoughtfully. "No wonder you wanted clear boundaries. After someone criticizes you for asking for help, it probably feels risky to let anyone help with anything." Maya looked at him in surprise. "That's exactly right. How did you know that?" "Lucky guess," Evan said. "Plus, I've seen how some guys react when women have standards or boundaries. Like it's an insult instead of just good sense." They talked for another hour. Evan shared stories about growing up in his dad's hardware store, learning to fix things and organize inventory. Maya told him about her job, processing medical insurance claims, which sounded boring but actually required solving puzzles all day long. When they got up to leave, Maya realized she felt more relaxed than she had in months. "Thank you for suggesting this," she said as they walked slowly back toward her building. "Thank you for saying yes," Evan replied. "Would you like to do this again next week? Same time?" Same place? Maya smiled. I'd like that. At the crosswalk near her building, they stopped and faced each other. I had a really good time today, Evan said. Me too, Maya said. For a moment, she thought he might try to kiss her. Instead, he squeezed her hand gently and said, See you next week, Maya. Maya watched him walk away before heading into her building. Mrs. Alvarez was checking her mail in the lobby. How was your coffee date? The older woman asked with a knowing smile. Really nice, Maya said. He's easy to talk to. Good. Easy is better than exciting when you're building something that needs to last. That evening, Maya video called Renee to tell her about the coffee date. As she was describing Evan's stories about the hardware store, her doorbell rang. Hold on, Maya told Renee, keeping the phone with her as she went to check the peephole. Evan stood in the hallway holding a small bag. It's him, Maya whispered to Renee. Let me see, Renee said. Maya opened the door. Hey, everything okay? Hi, Evan said. I brought back your extra drill bit from yesterday. Didn't want to forget. He handed her a small paper bag. And I grabbed you some of those cookies from the bakery next to the cafe. You mentioned liking oatmeal raisin. That's so thoughtful, Maya said, taking the bag. Thank you. From her phone screen, Renee cleared her throat loudly. Oh, Maya said. Evan, this is my sister Renee. Renee, meet Evan. Evan stepped closer so he could see the phone screen. Hi, Renee. Maya's told me nice things about you. Has she? Renee said, studying his face through the video call. So you're the helpful stranger with the flowers. That's me, Evan said. I hope Maya's told you I'm being respectful of her boundaries. She has, Renee said, which is the only reason we're having this conversation. Maya felt her cheeks warm with embarrassment. Renee, it's okay, Evan said. She loves you. I respect that. He looked directly at the phone camera. Renee, I know you don't know me yet, but I want you to know that Maya's comfort and safety are important to me. I'm not trying to rush anything or push her into anything she's not ready for. Renee was quiet for a moment, clearly evaluating him. What do you want from her? Right now, to get to know her better. She's smart and funny and kind. I'd like to earn her trust and see where that leads. No grand romantic gestures, no sweeping her off her feet. Evan shook his head. I think real relationships are built on ordinary, consistent kindness, not big, dramatic moments. Maya saw Renee's expression soften slightly. I can live with that answer, Renee said, but I'll be watching. I'd be disappointed if you weren't, Evan said. After he left, Renee looked thoughtful on the video call. Okay, she said finally. I like that he didn't try to charm me or win me over. He just answered my questions honestly. Really, Maya said. I was worried you'd think he was too smooth or something. The opposite. He seems genuine. Still, take it slow. Let him prove he means what he says. I will, Maya promised. The next few days passed quietly. Maya heard nothing more from property management, which she hoped was a good sign. She and Evan exchanged a few text messages, but nothing heavy. Just small updates about their days. On Thursday evening, Maya was coming back from the laundry room when she noticed Mrs. Patterson from 2B checking her mail. Mrs. Patterson was probably in her 50s, with sharp eyes and the kind of smile that never reached them. Maya, Mrs. Patterson called out. How are you settling in? Very well, thank you, Maya said politely. I've noticed you've had some visitors, Mrs. Patterson said in a tone that suggested she found this interesting. Moving is so stressful. I hope you're not having too much help from strangers. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. This was probably the person who'd complained to the landlord. Just friends helping with furniture, Maya said carefully. All very normal moving stuff. Of course, Mrs. Patterson said. I'm sure it's all perfectly innocent. We just want to make sure everyone feels comfortable here. Maya managed a polite smile and escaped to her floor. Mrs. Alvarez was watering plants by her door. That woman been bothering you? Mrs. Alvarez asked quietly. A little, Maya admitted. She complained about my nephew visiting too often last year. Some people think they own the building. Mrs. Alvarez gave Maya a pointed look. Don't let her make you feel bad about living your life. Thank you, Maya said. That helps. You keep doing what you're doing. Your young man seems respectful. That's more than I can say for some of the other residents' visitors. Friday afternoon, Maya was surprised to get a text from Evan. I know it's not our usual time, but I'm at the hardware store picking up some things for my dad. Want to walk over and see where I learned everything I know about screws and anchors? Maya looked out her window. It was a beautiful day, and she had nothing else planned. "Sure," she texted back. "Give me 10 minutes." The hardware store was only 4 blocks away, tucked between a flower shop and a small restaurant. The sign outside said, "Carlisle and Son Hardware, since 1987. Evan met her outside, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. "Welcome to my childhood," he said, holding the door open for her. The store was exactly what Maya had pictured. Narrow aisles packed with tools, paint cans, bins of screws and nails organized by size. The smell of sawdust and metal. An older man with grey hair and kind eyes stood behind the counter. "Dad, this is Maya," Evan said. "Maya, meet my father, Tom Carlisle." "So you're the one who's been keeping my son busy," Tom said with a warm smile. "He's been talking about you." "Nice things, I hope," Maya said, shaking his hand. "The best," Tom said. "Evan tells me you two built a shelf together. How'd he do?" "He was very patient with a complete beginner," Maya said, "and he actually let me use the drill instead of just doing everything himself." Tom nodded approvingly. "That's how you learn. Evan's been drilling holes since he was 12. Sometimes I had to remind him that not everyone grew up with tools in their hands." As they walked around the store, Evan pointed out different sections and told stories about working there as a teenager. Maya could see how much this place meant to him. "I used to complain about spending summers here," Evan said, running his hand along a display of paintbrushes. "I wanted to be at the lake with my friends. But now, there's something satisfying about work you can touch and see when you're finished." "You don't get that in your current job?" Maya asked. "Not really. I mean, I'm proud of the company I built. We help people find good contractors and service providers. It's useful work, but at the end of the day, it's all spreadsheets and conference calls." He picked up a hammer and tested its weight. "Sometimes I miss the simple satisfaction of fixing a squeaky door." Maya watched him handle the tools with easy familiarity. There was something attractive about competence, about someone who knew how to build and fix things instead of just talking about them. "You could always come back," Tom called from behind the counter. "I keep threatening to retire." "And leave Maya with no one to help her with furniture?" Evan called back. "I don't think so." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest, the easy way he included her in his future plans. Nothing heavy or presumptuous, just natural. They left the store with a small bag of specialized screws for Tom's current project. As they walked back toward Maya's building, she found herself thinking about what it would be like to have someone in her life who could fix things, who had steady hands and patience. "Thank you for showing me where you grew up," Maya said as they reached her building. "Thank you for wanting to see it," Evan said. "It means a lot to me that you understand where my steadiness comes from." "Your steadiness?" "I know I'm probably not the most exciting guy you could date," Evan said. "I'm not spontaneous or dramatic. I like routines and planning ahead and making sure things are done right." Maya stopped walking and turned to face him. "Evan, after 2 years with someone who changed his mind about everything, every 5 minutes, and made me feel like I was always guessing what he wanted, steadiness sounds perfect." Something shifted in Evan's expression. Relief, maybe, or recognition. "Good," he said softly, "because that's who I am." Saturday's coffee date turned into a longer walk around the neighborhood. They discovered they both loved old movies and terrible reality TV shows. Evan made Maya laugh with stories about his sister's disastrous attempts at home improvement. Maya shared funny stories from her job dealing with insurance companies. By the time they got back to her building, it was almost dinner time. "I should probably let you go," Evan said, but he didn't sound like he wanted to. "Actually," Maya said, surprising herself, "would you like to stay for dinner? Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad." Evan's face lit up. "I'd love that, as long as we keep your door open and Mrs. Alvarez approves." Maya laughed. "I think she's starting to like you. Yesterday she asked me if you had any single friends." "She did not." "She did. I told her I'd ask you." They cooked together in Maya's small kitchen, door propped open, Mrs. Alvarez occasionally walking by in the hallway with various excuses. Evan proved to be helpful without taking over. He chopped vegetables while Maya boiled water for pasta. They moved around each other easily, like they'd been cooking together for years. "This feels nice," Maya said as they sat down to eat. "It does," Evan agreed. "Normal, comfortable." As they ate, it started to rain softly outside Maya's windows. The sound was gentle and peaceful. They talked about everything and nothing, favorite books, worst jobs they'd ever had, places they wanted to travel. When they finished eating, they moved to the living room. Maya sat on one end of her couch, and Evan sat on the other end, careful to maintain respectful distance. "Thank you for dinner," Evan said. "This was perfect." "Thank you for helping cook," Maya said. "And for everything else. The flowers, the shelf, being so patient with all my rules." "Your rules make sense," Evan said. "I'm grateful you trust me enough to let me get to know you." The rain was falling harder now, creating a cozy sound against the windows. Maya tucked her feet under herself and studied Evan's face in the soft lamplight. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything. Why are you single? I mean, you're kind and helpful and easy to talk to. I can't imagine women don't notice that." Evan was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. "Honestly, I spent so much time building my company that I forgot to build anything else. Work became everything. When I finally came up for air, I realized I'd become this polished, professional version of myself that didn't feel very real." "You feel real to me," Maya said softly. "You make me feel real," Evan said. "Like the person I was before I started worrying so much about appearances and success." Maya felt something warm and electric pass between them. Without really thinking about it, she moved closer to him on the couch. "Maya," Evan said quietly. "Yeah? Can I—" He paused, looking at her carefully. "Would it be okay if I kissed you?" Maya's heart started beating faster. "Yes." Evan moved closer, slowly, giving her time to change her mind. When he was close enough that she could feel his breath, he paused again. "You're sure?" Instead of answering with words, Maya closed the distance between them. The kiss was soft and careful, nothing rushed or demanding, just warm and sweet and exactly right. When they broke apart, Maya felt breathless. "Wow," she whispered. "Good wow or bad wow?" Evan asked, his forehead resting against hers. "Very good wow." They kissed again, longer this time. Maya felt like she could stay on this couch forever, rain falling outside, safe in her own space with this kind, steady man. When they finally separated, Evan smoothed a strand of hair away from her face. "I should probably head home," he said reluctantly. "I don't want to overstay my welcome." "You're not overstaying," Maya said. "But you're probably right. We should take this slow." "Slow is good," Evan agreed. "Slow means we get to enjoy each step." He gathered his jacket and walked to her door. In the hallway, Mrs. Alvarez was nowhere to be seen, but Maya could hear the soft sound of a television from 4A. "Text me when you get home," Maya asked. "Of course," Evan said. "Sweet dreams." Maya. Sweet dreams. Maya closed and locked her door, then leaned against it with a huge smile on her face. She felt giddy and nervous and hopeful all at once. Her phone buzzed with a text. "Home safe. Thank you for dinner and for everything else. Can't wait to see you again." Maya typed back, "Me too. Sleep well." She got ready for bed feeling lighter than she had in years. As she brushed her teeth, she caught herself smiling in the bathroom mirror. Maybe this was what it felt like when things were right, when you didn't have to guess or worry or constantly prove yourself, when someone just liked you for who you were. Maya slept better that night than she had since moving to the apartment. The next morning, she woke up to her phone buzzing with notifications. Multiple text messages from numbers she didn't recognize, all part of what looked like a building group chat she hadn't known existed. Her stomach dropped as she read the messages. "Did anyone else see the dinner guest in 4B last night? Same guy who was here with the flowers, right? How long has she even lived here? Moving fast. At least keep the blinds closed if you're going to make out on the couch where everyone can see." Maya felt heat flood her face. Someone had been watching her apartment. Someone had seen her, and Evan kissed through her living room window. The last message was the worst. Just saying, "Some of us have kids in this building. Maybe keep the public displays private?" Maya's hands were shaking as she scrolled through the messages. The building group chat had 23 members. 23 people had seen these comments about her. She was debating whether to respond when a new message appeared. "Mrs. Alvarez. As someone who was actually present last evening, I can confirm that the young lady in 4B had a friend over for dinner. They cooked pasta, ate at the table like civilized people, and said goodnight respectfully. If you have concerns about a tenant's behavior, address them directly, instead of gossiping. That's called being neighborly." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Mrs. Alvarez was defending her, but the damage felt done. Everyone in the building was talking about her, judging her, making assumptions. Her phone rang, Evan calling. "Hi, she answered, her voice shakier than she wanted it to be. Maya, what's wrong? You sound upset. Maya explained about the group chat, reading him some of the messages. With each one, she heard his breathing get tighter. I'm so sorry, he said when she finished. This is my fault. I should have thought about the windows being visible. It's not your fault, Maya said, though part of her wondered if it was. If she'd been naive to think they could just live their lives without people watching and judging. Do you want me to say something? Evan asked. I could join the group chat and explain that we were just… No, Maya said quickly. That would just make it worse. Give them more to talk about. They were both quiet for a moment. Maya, Evan said gently, are you having second thoughts about us? Maya looked around her apartment. The shelf they'd built together, the flowers that had started everything, the couch where they'd shared their first kiss. No, she said firmly. I'm not having second thoughts about us. I need some time to figure out how to handle this. Okay, Evan said. Whatever you need. I'm here when you're ready. After they hung up, Maya sat on her couch and tried not to cry. Everything had been going so perfectly. And now, because of some nosy neighbors and a badly placed window, it felt complicated again. She was still sitting there an hour later when someone knocked on her door. Through the peephole, she saw a man she didn't recognize. Tall, Latino, probably around Evan's age. Can I help you? Maya called through the door. Hi, I'm Caleb Ortiz. I work with Evan. He asked me to return something he borrowed from you. Maya cracked the door open, keeping the chain latch engaged. The man held up a small drill bit. I don't think Evan borrowed anything from me, Maya said cautiously. Caleb smiled. You're right. Can I speak honestly with you for a moment? Maya hesitated, then unlatched the chain and opened the door. Mrs. Alvarez immediately appeared in her own doorway. Everything all right, Maya? Mrs. Alvarez asked. Yes, ma'am, Caleb said politely. I'm Caleb, Evan's business partner. I just wanted to clarify something. Maya stepped into the hallway so Mrs. Alvarez could hear their conversation. Yesterday morning, Evan had a conference call about a vendor dispute, Caleb said. One of our board members made a comment about keeping clean optics regarding the business issue. Evan was worried that if you overheard any part of that conversation out of context, it might sound like he was talking about managing your situation. Maya felt confusion replace some of her anxiety. I wasn't there yesterday morning. I know, Caleb said. But Evan wanted to make sure you knew that any business conversations you might overhear in the future have nothing to do with you. He was worried about miscommunication. That's very thoughtful of him, Maya said slowly. He cares about you, Caleb said simply. And after hearing about the building group chat nonsense, he wanted to make sure you knew that he's not interested in managing your image or anyone else's opinion about your relationship. Mrs. Alvarez crossed her arms. Someone needs to manage the group chat's opinions about minding their own business. Caleb grinned. I like her. Evan said you had good neighbors watching out for you. After Caleb left, Maya felt some of her tension ease. The fact that Evan had thought ahead about potential miscommunications, that meant he was taking their relationship seriously, planning for it to continue. That evening, Maya texted Evan, "Thank you for sending Caleb. That was thoughtful. I just wanted clear communication," he replied. "No room for misunderstandings. Can we still do coffee Saturday?" Maya asked. "I was hoping you'd still want to," Evan replied. "I do. But maybe we could walk somewhere less visible afterward. I know just the place." Maya smiled at her phone. This thing between them was worth protecting, worth fighting for. She was not going to let gossipy neighbors ruin something that felt this right. Saturday's coffee date felt different. Maya found herself looking around the cafe more, wondering if anyone from her building might see them. When they sat at their usual table by the window, she chose the chair that faced away from the street. "You okay?" Evan asked, stirring sugar into his coffee. "You seem a little tense." "Just thinking about nosy neighbors," Maya said. "I hate feeling like I'm being watched." "We could go somewhere else next time," Evan suggested. "There's a nice park about 10 minutes away. More private." Maya nodded, but something about needing to hide bothered her. She'd done nothing wrong. Why should she have to sneak around her own neighborhood? They talked about lighter topics, a movie Evan wanted to see, Maya's plans to buy plants for her shelf. But Maya kept glancing toward the cafe entrance, half expecting to see Mrs. Patterson or one of the other building residents walk in. After an hour, they decided to take that walk Evan had mentioned. He led her through a residential area to a small neighborhood park she hadn't discovered yet. tree-lined paths, a small pond, benches tucked between flower gardens. "This is beautiful," Maya said, relaxing for the first time all day. "How did you find it?" "I like to walk when I'm thinking," Evan said. "I found this place during a particularly stressful work week. It's become my go-to spot for clearing my head." They sat on a bench overlooking the pond. A few ducks paddled in lazy circles while children played on swings nearby. Everything felt peaceful and normal. "I'm sorry about the building drama," Maya said suddenly. "I know this isn't what you signed up for when you offered to help with my shelf." Evan turned to face her more fully. "Maya, look at me. What I signed up for was getting to know you. Everything else is just noise. But the gossip will die down when people realize we're boring and ordinary," Evan said with a gentle smile. "We're not giving them anything dramatic to talk about. We're just two people who like each other." Maya felt some of her anxiety ease. He was right. They weren't doing anything scandalous. They were having coffee and building furniture and eating pasta. Completely normal things. "You make it sound so simple," she said. "Because it is simple," Evan said. "Or it should be. The only opinions that matter are yours and mine." They walked the rest of the park loop hand in hand. When they reached the entrance again, Evan stopped. "Maya, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are you worried about what the neighbors think? Or are you worried that maybe they're right, that we're moving too fast?" Maya considered the question honestly. "A little of both, I think. Part of me wonders if I'm being naive, if I should be more careful." "And what does your gut tell you?" Maya thought about the past few weeks, how safe she felt with Evan, how he'd respected every boundary she'd set, how he made her laugh and feel capable and interesting. "My gut tells me you're a good person who makes me happy," she said, "but my head keeps reminding me that I've been wrong about people before." Evan nodded, understanding. What would help? More time? Different boundaries? This was what Maya appreciated about Evan. He didn't get defensive when she expressed doubts. He just tried to understand what she needed. "Maybe we could slow down a little," she said. "Not see each other quite as often. Give the building gossip time to move on to something else." "Okay," Evan said without hesitation. "What would feel right to you? Maybe once a week instead of every few days, and maybe stick to public places for a while?" "Whatever makes you comfortable," Evan said. "I'm not going anywhere, Maya. We can take as much time as you need." The relief, Maya felt, confirmed that this was the right choice. She didn't want to end things with Evan. She just wanted to feel more in control of the situation. They agreed to meet the following Saturday for another walk in the park. As Evan walked her back to her building, Maya felt more settled than she had all week. "Thank you for understanding," she said as they reached her front door. "Thank you for being honest about what you need," Evan replied. "That takes courage." Maya spent Sunday afternoon organizing her apartment and thinking about what Renee would say about the building gossip. Probably something about not letting other people's opinions control her life. But it was easier said than done when those people controlled whether she could keep living in her apartment. Monday morning, Maya checked her email and found a response from Pine Terrace Property Management. "Dear Miss Bennett, thank you for your prompt response regarding our previous concerns. After reviewing the situation and speaking with other residents, we're satisfied that your guest activity has been appropriate and supervised. Your lease finalization will proceed as scheduled. Welcome to Pine Terrace. Best regards, Pine Terrace Management." Maya read the email 3 times, hardly believing it. The lease was approved. The apartment was officially hers. She immediately texted Renee the good news, then hesitated before texting Evan. They'd agreed to less frequent contact, but this seemed worth sharing. "Good news, lease approved. Apartment is officially mine." His response came quickly. "That's wonderful. You must be so relieved." "I am. Thank you for being patient while I figured everything out." "Always. See you Saturday?" "Yes. Looking forward to it." Maya put her phone away and looked around her apartment with fresh eyes. This was really home now. No one could take it away from her. The week passed quietly. Maya focused on work and slowly started to feel like herself again. The building group chat had moved on to complaining about noise from construction down the street. Her brief moment of notoriety seemed to be over. Friday evening, as Maya was making dinner, someone knocked on her door. She looked through the peephole and saw Evan standing in the hallway. Maya opened the door, surprised. "Hi, is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," Evan said. "I know we agreed to wait until tomorrow, but I wanted to drop this off." He held up a small envelope. "I wrote you something, and I didn't want to wait another day to give it to you." "What is it?" Maya asked, taking the envelope. "Just thoughts I wanted to share," Evan said. "Read it whenever you're ready. No pressure to respond tonight or anything." "Thank you," Maya said, touched by the gesture. "I'll read it now." "I'll let you get back to your evening," Evan said. "See you tomorrow?" "Definitely." After Evan left, Maya sat on her couch and carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper with Evan's neat handwriting. "Maya, I've been thinking about what you said in the park about taking things slow and being careful. I want you to know that I completely support that. Trust should be earned, not assumed. I also want you to know that I'm not interested in managing what other people think about us. I don't need this to look perfect from the outside. I just need it to feel right between us. You asked me once why I'm single. The real answer is that I spent years being the version of myself I thought would be most successful and appealing, instead of just being myself. With you, I don't feel like I need to perform or impress. I can just be the person I actually am. I want you to feel the same freedom, to be yourself, set your own boundaries, and trust your own judgment. You're smart and strong and capable of deciding what's right for your own life. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'd like to find out with you, at your pace, on your terms. If you want me to step back further, I will. If you want me to stay exactly where I am, I will. If you're ready to move forward, I will. Tell me what you need, and I'll do my best to give it to you. All my respect and affection, Evan." Maya read the letter twice, feeling her throat tighten with emotion. When was the last time someone had offered to follow her lead without making her feel guilty about it? When had someone told her she was smart and strong instead of too cautious or too demanding? She folded the letter carefully and held it against her chest. Tomorrow, she would tell Evan exactly how she felt about everything. Saturday afternoon, Maya met Evan at the park entrance. He looked nervous, which was unusual for him. "Hi," she said, smiling to put him at ease. "Thank you for the letter. Did it help clarify things?" he asked as they started walking toward their favorite bench. "It did," Maya said, "but I think we need to talk more. Can we sit down?" They settled on the bench by the pond. Maya had spent the morning thinking about what she wanted to say. "I've been doing a lot of thinking this week," she began. "About us, about the building gossip, about what I actually want." Evan waited patiently for her to continue. "I realized that I was letting other people's opinions make me doubt my own judgment," Maya said, "which is exactly what I did with Jordan. I let him convince me that my instincts were wrong, that I was too sensitive or too demanding." "And what do your instincts tell you about us?" Evan asked gently. "That you're kind and honest and patient," Maya said. "That you make me feel safe and interesting and capable. That I trust you more than I've trusted anyone in a long time." Evan's face softened. "Those are the things I was hoping you'd feel." "I don't want to slow things down anymore," Maya said. "I want to move forward, not fast, not recklessly, but forward, at a pace that feels right for both of us." "What would that look like?" Evan asked. Maya had thought about this too. "I'd like to see you more than once a week. Maybe we could have dinner together sometimes during the week. And I'd like to meet your sister when you think the time is right." "She'd love to meet you," Evan said with a smile. "She's been asking about you." "Really?" "Really. She's protective of me the same way Renee is protective of you. She wants to make sure I'm with someone who appreciates the fact that I'd rather fix a broken faucet than go to a fancy restaurant." Maya laughed. "I definitely appreciate that about you." They made plans for Evan to come over Wednesday evening to cook dinner together. Maya would meet his sister the following weekend. Simple, normal, steps forward. As they walked back through the park, Maya felt lighter than she had in weeks. She'd faced her fears, trusted her instincts, and chosen to bet on something good. "Maya," Evan said as they reached the park entrance, "thank you for giving us another chance, for not letting other people's noise scare you away from something real. Thank you for being patient while I figured things out," Maya said, "and for writing me that letter. No one's ever told me I'm smart and strong and capable of making my own decisions." "Well, you are all of those things," Evan said. Among many others. Wednesday evening, Maya prepared for Evan's dinner visit by cleaning her apartment and making a grocery list. She'd decided to try making lasagna, ambitious but manageable. When Evan arrived at 6 o'clock with a bottle of wine and a small potted basil plant, Maya felt excited rather than nervous. "For your windowsill," he said, handing her the plant. "I thought you might like having fresh herbs to cook with. It's perfect." Maya said, setting the plant on her kitchen counter where it caught the last of the evening light. They cooked together easily, falling into a comfortable rhythm. Evan prepared the meat sauce while Maya worked on the cheese mixture. They talked about their days, shared stories from childhood, debated the proper ratio of ricotta to mozzarella. "This feels really nice," Maya said as they layered noodles and sauce in the baking dish. "It does," Evan agreed. "Domestic, in a good way." As the lasagna baked, they sat on Maya's couch and talked about books they'd read recently. Maya had her feet tucked up under her, and Evan sat close enough that their knees touched occasionally. "I've been thinking about what you said in your letter," Maya said. "About being yourself instead of performing." "Yeah, I realized I've been doing that too. Not just with Jordan, but in general. Always trying to be the version of myself that would cause the least trouble or criticism." "And how does it feel to stop doing that?" Evan asked. "Scary," Maya said honestly, "but also freeing. Like I don't have to constantly guess what people want from me." "You don't," Evan said. "Not with me, anyway. I like you exactly as you are." When the timer went off, they discovered they'd made excellent lasagna. They ate at Maya's dining table with the basil plant between them like a centerpiece, talking and laughing until almost 10 o'clock. "I should probably head home," Evan said reluctantly. "Early meeting tomorrow." "Of course," Maya said. "Thank you for cooking with me. This was perfect." At her door, Evan paused. "Maya, would it be okay if I kissed you goodnight?" Instead of answering, Maya stepped closer and kissed him first. It was soft and warm and tasted like the wine they'd shared with dinner. "Good night, Evan," she said when they broke apart. "Good night, sweet dreams." Maya locked her door and leaned against it with a huge smile. She felt happy in a way that was both thrilling and peaceful, like everything was exactly as it should be. The next few days passed in a pleasant blur. Maya and Evan exchanged text messages throughout the day, nothing dramatic, just small updates and observations. He sent her a photo of a ridiculous client request. She shared a funny story about a co-worker's lunch disaster. Saturday morning, Maya woke up excited about meeting Evan's sister. They were all having brunch together at a cafe in Evan's neighborhood, then walking through a farmer's market. Maya chose her outfit carefully, jeans and a soft yellow sweater that made her feel confident but not overdressed. She wanted to make a good first impression. The cafe was busy but not crowded. Maya spotted Evan immediately at a table near the back. Next to him sat a woman who was clearly his sister, same brown hair, same kind eyes, same way of holding her coffee cup with both hands. "Maya," Evan said, standing as she approached. "This is my sister, Sarah. Sarah, meet Maya." Sarah stood as well and surprised Maya by pulling her into a quick hug. "I've been so excited to meet you," she said. "Evan hasn't stopped talking about you." "All good things, I hope," Maya said, sitting across from them. "The best things," Sarah said, "though he did mention you're much better at using power tools than he expected." Maya laughed. "I had a good teacher." "Oh, don't let him fool you," Sarah said. "He's been building things since he could hold a screwdriver. Mom used to find him in Dad's workshop at 6 in the morning, organizing nails by size." "Sarah," Evan said with good-natured embarrassment. "What? It's cute. Maya should know she's dating someone who alphabetizes his toolbox." Maya grinned at Evan. "You alphabetize your toolbox?" "Only sometimes," he said defensively, "and only when I can't find anything." The conversation flowed easily from there. Sarah asked about Maya's work and her new apartment. Maya asked about Sarah's job as a physical therapist and her recent move to a new practice. "So, Maya," Sarah said as they finished their omelets, "what's your honest assessment of my brother? Is he as steady and reliable as he thinks he is, or is it all an act?" Maya considered the question seriously. "He's exactly as steady as he appears to be, but he's also funnier than I expected, and more thoughtful." "Thoughtful how?" Sarah asked, clearly enjoying embarrassing her brother. "He notices things. Like when I mentioned I liked oatmeal cookies, he brought me some. When I was worried about building gossip, he found ways to make me feel safer without making me feel silly for being concerned." Sarah nodded approvingly. "Good. He needs someone who appreciates his attention to detail instead of finding it boring." "It's not boring at all," Maya said. "It's reassuring." After brunch, they walked through the farmer's market together. Sarah proved to be as easy to talk to as Evan, and Maya found herself relaxing completely. At a plant vendor's stall, Maya fell in love with a trailing ivy and some flowering herbs. "Your windowsill garden is growing," Evan observed as she paid for her purchases. I'm thinking of getting a proper window box, Maya said. Something big enough for a real herb garden. I know someone who's good with tools if you need help installing it, Evan said with a smile. I might take you up on that. Sarah walked a little ahead of them, giving them space to talk privately. She's wonderful, Maya said quietly. I can see why you're close. She likes you too, Evan said. I can tell. How can you tell? Because she hasn't asked you a single probing question about your intentions with her baby brother, Evan said with a grin. When she doesn't like someone I'm dating, she interrogates them. You date a lot of people she doesn't like? Maya asked. I used to, Evan said. People who were more interested in the successful businessman version of me than the actual me. And now? Evan stopped walking and turned to face her. Around them, people browsed vegetables and fresh flowers, living their Saturday lives. Now I'm dating someone who likes me because I can install shelves properly and remember her favorite cookies, he said. Someone who makes me want to be myself instead of some polished version of myself. Maya felt that familiar warmth spread through her chest. I like that version of you too. When they reached the end of the market, Sarah hugged Maya goodbye. I hope we'll see each other again soon, Sarah said. I'd like that, Maya replied, meaning it. As Sarah walked toward her car, she called over her shoulder to Evan. I approve. Don't mess this up. No pressure, Evan said to Maya with a laugh. They walked back toward Maya's neighborhood, their arms full of plants and flowers. The afternoon was warm and sunny, perfect for walking. Thank you for introducing me to your sister, Maya said as they reached her building. She's lovely. Thank you for wanting to meet her, Evan said. It means a lot to me that the important people in my life are getting to know each other. Maya felt something significant in those words. Important people in his life. She was becoming important to him, and he was becoming important to her. Would you like to come up and help me figure out where to put these plants? She asked. I'd love to. They rode the elevator to the 4th floor, chatting about which herbs would get the most sun in Maya's kitchen window. Mrs. Alvarez was watering plants by her door and smiled when she saw them. Good afternoon, she said. More plants for the collection? We're thinking about a window box, Maya said, showing her the ivy and herbs. Smart girl. Nothing makes a place feel like home like living things you care for. In her apartment, Maya and Evan arranged the new plants on her windowsill alongside the basil he'd brought earlier in the week. The little collection looked cheerful and alive. I definitely need a proper window box, Maya said, stepping back to assess the arrangement. We could build one, Evan suggested. Design it specifically for your window. Make it exactly the right size. Really? You'd help me build one? I'd love to, Evan said. We could go to Dad's store next weekend and pick out materials. Make it a project. Maya liked the idea of having another project to work on together. Something they could plan and build and enjoy for years to come. I'd like that, she said. A lot. As the afternoon turned to evening, they made simple sandwiches for dinner and ate them while watching the sunset through Maya's living room windows. The light was golden and soft, making everything feel peaceful and perfect. Maya, Evan said as they finished eating, can I tell you something? Always. I think I'm falling in love with you. Maya's heart skipped, then settled into a warm, steady rhythm. She wasn't surprised by his words, she'd been feeling the same thing, but hearing them made everything feel more real. I think I'm falling in love with you too, she said softly. Evan reached for her hand across the small table. Yeah? Yeah. You make me feel safe and happy and like myself, like the best version of myself. That's how you make me feel too. They sat in the golden light, holding hands across the table, surrounded by plants and the remains of their simple dinner. Everything felt exactly right. Outside, Maya could hear the normal sounds of her neighborhood cars passing, people walking, life happening all around them. But inside her apartment, everything was peaceful and warm and full of possibility. I love you, Maya, Evan said, as natural as breathing. I love you too, Evan. And for the first time in her life, Maya knew without doubt that she was exactly where she belonged. 3 weeks passed in blissful routine. Maya and Evan settled into a comfortable pattern of seeing each other twice during the week and spending most of Saturday together. They cooked dinner, watched movies, took walks through the neighborhood, and slowly built the kind of steady, everyday intimacy that Maya had never experienced before. Maya's apartment filled with small signs of their relationship. Evan's coffee mug in her cabinet, his favorite snacks in her pantry, a spare phone charger he'd left on her nightstand. Nothing dramatic or possessive, just the natural accumulation of a life being shared. The building gossip had died down completely. Mrs. Patterson had apparently moved on to complaining about the music from 3A. The group chat now focused on scheduling, building maintenance, and organizing a summer barbecue. Maya's brief moment of neighborhood notoriety was ancient history. On a Thursday evening in late spring, Maya was walking back from the grocery store when she realized she'd forgotten to pick up the olive oil she needed for the pasta dish she and Evan were planning to make. His apartment was only a few blocks away, and she knew he always kept a well-stocked kitchen. She texted him, "On my way over, forgot olive oil. Hope that's okay." He responded immediately, "Of course. Door's unlocked. I'm on a work call but should be done soon." Maya let herself into Evan's apartment, a clean, minimalist space with hardwood floors and lots of natural light. She could hear his voice coming from the home office down the hall. Something about quarterly projections and client retention. She found the olive oil in his organized pantry and was about to leave when she heard her name mentioned in his phone conversation. "Understand the concern about optics," Evan was saying. "But Maya's not part of the business. She's completely separate from any public-facing aspects of the company." Maya froze. Why was Evan talking about her in a business call? What did optics have to do with anything? "I know image matters," Evan continued, "but I'm not willing to manage this relationship for appearances. If that's a problem, we need to discuss." Maya didn't wait to hear the rest. She set the olive oil on his kitchen counter and quietly left his apartment. Her hands were shaking as she walked the few blocks back to her building. Manage this relationship for appearances. Image matters. Optics. All the words Jordan had used when he criticized her clothes, her friends, her job, when he'd made her feel like she wasn't good enough for public display. Maya let herself into her apartment and sat heavily on her couch. Had she been naive again? Had she misread Evan completely? Was their entire relationship some kind of image management for his business? She thought about how polished he'd seemed when they first met, how he ran a successful company, how carefully he'd handled the building gossip. Maybe it had all been calculated. Her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. "Found the olive oil on my counter. Did you change your mind about dinner?" Maya stared at the message, not sure how to respond. How could she explain that she'd overheard him talking about managing their relationship? How could she ask without sounding paranoid or accusatory? Instead, she typed, "Not feeling well. Rain check? Of course. Feel better. Let me know if you need anything." Maya turned off her phone and spent the evening replaying every interaction she'd had with Evan, looking for signs she'd missed, ways he might have been managing her or their relationship for his benefit. The more she thought about it, the more everything seemed suspicious. His patience with her boundaries, was that genuine or just good strategy? His thoughtful gestures, were they sincere or carefully calculated to win her trust? By bedtime, Maya had convinced herself that she'd been a fool. Again, the next day, Evan texted to check on how she was feeling. Maya responded with short, polite messages. She was fine, just needed rest. Maybe they could talk later in the week. If Evan noticed the change in her tone, he didn't push, which Maya interpreted as proof that he wasn't as invested in her as he'd claimed. Saturday came and went without their usual plans. Maya told Evan she was still under the weather. He offered to bring her soup, but she declined. She needed space to think. Sunday evening, Maya was heating up leftover soup when someone knocked on her door. Through the peephole, she saw Caleb, Evan's business partner. "Hi, Maya," Caleb said when she opened the door. "I hope you don't mind me stopping by. Evan asked me to return something he borrowed from you." He held up the drill bit he'd used as an excuse before. Maya sighed. "He didn't borrow anything, did he?" "No," Caleb said gently. "He's worried about you. He said you've seemed distant since Thursday, and he can't figure out why. He's afraid he did something wrong." Mrs. Alvarez appeared in her doorway, clearly having heard voices in the hallway. "Everything all right?" she asked. "Everything's fine, Mrs. Alvarez," Maya said. "This is Caleb, Evan's friend." "Ah," Mrs. Alvarez said, staying put but obviously listening. Caleb glanced at Mrs. Alvarez, then back at Maya. "Can I ask what happened Thursday? Evan said you came by his place but left without saying anything." Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. She didn't want to have this conversation in the hallway with Mrs. Alvarez listening, but she also didn't want to invite Caleb into her apartment. "I overheard part of a phone call," she said quietly, "about managing relationships for appearances, about optics and image." Understanding dawned on Caleb's face. "Oh, Maya, That call wasn't about you. It wasn't? Definitely not. That was about our biggest client. They're going through a messy public divorce and it's affecting their business. We were discussing whether to renew their contract, given all the negative publicity. Maya felt some of her certainty waver. But Evan mentioned my name because our board member made some ignorant comment about how Evan's personal situation might affect his judgment about image-sensitive clients. Evan was telling him in no uncertain terms that his personal life was off-limits for business discussions. Mrs. Alvarez spoke up from her doorway. Sounds like he was defending you, not managing you. Caleb nodded. That's exactly what happened. Evan was furious that anyone would suggest his relationship with you had anything to do with business decisions. Maya felt foolish and relieved at the same time. I completely misunderstood. It's understandable, Caleb said kindly. Hearing things out of context can be confusing. But Maya, I've known Evan for 5 years. I've never seen him as happy as he's been since he met you. This relationship isn't about image or business for him. It's about finding someone who makes him want to be the best version of himself. After Caleb left, Maya stood in her doorway talking with Mrs. Alvarez. You jumped to conclusions, Mrs. Alvarez said, matter-of-factly. I did, Maya admitted. Because someone hurt you before and made you doubt your own judgment. Yes, Mrs. Alvarez nodded. That man Jordan, he did damage. But you can't let his voice in your head ruin something good. This Evan, he's not Jordan. I know that. I do. When I heard those words, I panicked. So now you apologize and explain. Good relationships survive misunderstandings if both people are willing to work through them. That night, Maya sat at her dining table with a piece of paper and tried to write Evan a letter explaining what had happened. She wrote 3 drafts before settling on something honest and direct. Evan, I owe you an apology and an explanation. Thursday, when I came to get olive oil, I overheard part of your phone call. I heard you mention optics and managing relationships for appearances, and I assumed you were talking about us. I know now that I was wrong. Caleb explained about your client's situation, and I understand that you were actually defending our relationship, not managing it. But I want you to know why I reacted the way I did. For 2 years, Jordan made me feel like I was a problem he had to manage, like I was an embarrassment he had to handle carefully to protect his image. When I heard those words from you, even out of context, it triggered all those old fears. I should have asked you directly instead of assuming the worst. I should have trusted what I know about your character instead of letting my past hurt cloud my judgment. I'm sorry for pulling away without explanation. I'm sorry for doubting you. Most of all, I'm sorry for not giving you the chance to clarify what I'd heard. If you're willing, I'd like to talk. I miss you, and I want to do better. Love, Maya. P.S. Your olive oil is still on my counter if you want it back. Maya sealed the letter in an envelope and walked downstairs to slide it under Evan's apartment door. It was late, but she didn't want to wait until morning. The next evening, Maya heard familiar footsteps in her hallway, followed by a gentle knock. She opened the door to find Evan holding her letter and a small potted plant, a peace lily. Hi, he said softly. Hi, Maya replied. Can we talk? Maya nodded and stepped aside to let him in. They sat on her couch, the peace lily on the coffee table between them. Thank you for the letter, Evan said. It helped me understand what happened. I'm so sorry, Maya said. I should have just asked you about the call instead of assuming the worst. You should have, Evan agreed gently. But I understand why you didn't. After what Jordan put you through, those words would be triggering no matter what the context was. They sat quietly for a moment, the evening light soft through Maya's windows. Maya, Evan said, I need you to know something. I will never try to manage you or our relationship for appearances. I don't care what anyone else thinks about us, not my business partners, not your neighbors, not our families. The only opinions that matter are yours and mine. I know that now, Maya said. I mean, I knew it before too. I just let old fears take over my brain for a few days. It happens, Evan said. But next time, and there probably will be a next time, because we're both human, will you promise to talk to me first, before you pull away? I promise, Maya said. Will you promise to be patient with me when I'm being irrational? Always, Evan said without hesitation. Maya moved closer to him on the couch. I missed you. I missed us. I missed you too, Evan said, putting his arm around her. These past few days felt wrong without you. They held each other for a while, not talking, just reconnecting. Maya felt the tension she'd been carrying all week finally start to ease. "So," Evan said eventually, "want to tell me about this window box project?" "I've been thinking about designs," Maya laughed. "You've been thinking about window boxes while I was being dramatic and distant. I've been thinking about all the ways I want to build a life with you," Evan said seriously. "Window boxes are just one small part of that." Maya felt tears prick her eyes, happy tears this time. "I want that too, to build something real and lasting." "Then let's start with a window box," Evan said, "and see where it goes from there." The next Saturday, Maya and Evan drove to Carlisle & Son Hardware to select materials for the window box project. Tom greeted Maya like family, asking about her apartment and teasing Evan about his measuring obsessiveness. "You want cedar," Tom advised as they looked at lumber options. "It'll weather well and won't rot. A little more expensive, but worth it for something that'll last." "We want it to last," Maya said, looking at Evan. "We do," Evan agreed. They spent an hour selecting boards, hardware, and weatherproofing supplies. Tom helped them calculate the exact measurements they'd need and threw in a packet of herb seeds to get the garden started right. Back at Maya's apartment, they spread the materials across her living room floor. The wood smelled fresh and clean, full of possibility. "So," Evan said, reviewing their sketches, "we'll cut the pieces to fit your window exactly, sand them smooth, assemble the frame, and install drainage holes. Then mount it securely so it won't fall." "Safety first," Maya said, remembering his careful approach to their shelf project. "Always," Evan said. "I want this to be something you can enjoy for years without worrying about it." They worked together steadily through the afternoon. Maya was surprised to discover she enjoyed using the saw, cutting boards to precise measurements with Evan's patient guidance. There was something satisfying about creating something useful with her own hands. Mrs. Alvarez checked on their progress several times, offering unsolicited advice about drainage and plant spacing. By evening, they had a beautifully crafted cedar window box ready for installation. "It's perfect," Maya said, running her hands along the smooth wood. "I can't believe we made this." "We make a good team," Evan said, cleaning sawdust from his hands. Sunday morning, they installed the window box on Maya's kitchen window. It fit exactly, as if it had always been meant to be there. Maya filled it with potting soil and carefully transplanted her herbs and flowers from their temporary pots: basil, oregano, thyme, and trailing ivy. The peace lily from Evan's apology, the original daisies from his first gesture, now dried but preserved in the soil to help feed new growth. "It's beautiful," Maya said, standing back to admire their work. The window box looked like it had been part of her apartment forever. "It is," Evan agreed, "and it's ours. Something we planned and built, and will tend together." Maya thought about the symbolism of that. Something rooted but growing, something that would flourish with care and attention, something built to last. Over the next few weeks, Maya and Evan fell into new routines around caring for their window garden. Evan would water the plants on his way to work when he stayed over. Maya would trim the herbs for cooking and report to him about new growth. The building barbecue arrived at the end of May, a potluck gathering on the roof deck that Maya had been slightly dreading. But with Evan beside her and a pasta salad made with herbs from their window box, she felt confident and relaxed. Mrs. Alvarez introduced Evan to the other residents as Maya's young man who's handy with tools. Mrs. Patterson was polite but cool. Most of the other neighbors were friendly and welcoming. "You two seem very settled," observed Mr. Chen from 2A, an elderly man who'd lived in the building for decades. "It's nice to see young people taking time to build something real instead of rushing around." "We're trying," Maya said, glancing at Evan, "taking it one day at a time." "Smart approach," Mr. Chen said. "The best relationships grow slowly, like good plants." As the evening wound down and people began cleaning up, Maya and Evan stood at the roof deck railing, looking out over their neighborhood. Lights were coming on in windows. People were settling in for the night. "I love it up here," Maya said. "You can see everything but still feel private." "It's a good view," Evan agreed. "I like being able to see your window from here. See our window box." Maya followed his gaze and spotted her kitchen window 4 floors below. Even from this distance, she could make out the green of their herbs growing in the cedar box they'd built together. "I can't believe how much has changed since that wrong number text," she said. "Best mistake either of us ever made," Evan said, putting his arm around her. "Was it a mistake, though?" Maya asked. Maybe it was exactly what was supposed to happen. Evan considered this. You think the universe wanted us to meet? I think maybe we were both ready for something real, and we just needed the right moment to find each other. They stood quietly for a while, watching their neighborhood settle into evening. Maya felt incredibly grateful for this life they were building together. Nothing dramatic or fairy tale perfect, just good and real and sustainable. Evan, she said eventually. Yeah? I love you. I love us. I love what we're building together. I love you too, he said, turning to face her fully. All of it. Every ordinary, wonderful day of it. When they got back to Maya's apartment, they checked on their window box garden one more time. Everything was growing beautifully. The basil was full and fragrant. The ivy trailed gracefully over the edges. The peace lily had produced new blooms. Look, Maya said, pointing to tiny new growth on the oregano plant. It's getting bigger. Growing season, Evan said. Everything's coming into its own. Maya thought that was a perfect description of where they were too. Not just starting out anymore, but growing into something stronger and more rooted. That night, as they got ready for bed in Maya's small apartment, Maya caught herself in the bathroom mirror and smiled. She looked happy, settled, like someone who knew exactly where she belonged. What are you grinning about? Evan called from the bedroom. Just thinking about how right everything feels, Maya called back. How much I trust this. Trust us. When she came out of the bathroom, Evan was sitting on the edge of her bed, looking thoughtful. What is it? She asked, settling next to him. I've been thinking, he said, about next steps, about the future. Maya's heart fluttered slightly. What kind of next steps? Nothing dramatic, Evan said quickly, reading her expression. Just practical things, like maybe keeping some clothes here permanently instead of always packing overnight bags, or getting keys made. Small things that acknowledge this is real and ongoing. Maya felt relief and excitement flood through her. I'd like that, the practical, everyday, kind of building a life together. Good, Evan said, kissing her forehead, because that's the only kind I'm interested in, the kind that lasts. 3 months later, Maya and Evan hosted their first official dinner party. Renee and Sarah came, along with Mrs. Alvarez and Caleb. Maya cooked her grandmother's chicken recipe, while Evan made his famous cornbread. They used herbs from their window box garden and served wine from glasses that were half Maya's and half Evan's. The conversation flowed easily around Maya's small dining table. Renee and Sarah discovered they both loved terrible reality television. Mrs. Alvarez regaled everyone with stories about the building's previous residents. Caleb and Evan debated the merits of different drill bit sizes, while the women rolled their eyes. This is nice, Renee said quietly to Maya as they cleared dishes after dessert. Domestic, settled. It is, Maya agreed. Sometimes I can't believe how normal and right everything feels. That's what good relationships are supposed to feel like, Renee said. Not constant drama or uncertainty, just solid. Later, after everyone had gone home, Maya and Evan did dishes together in comfortable silence. The window box garden glowed softly in the light from the kitchen, their herbs and flowers thriving in the space they'd created for them. Thank you for tonight, Maya said, drying the last plate, for helping me host my first real dinner party. Thank you for wanting to build this kind of life, Evan replied, draining the sink. The kind where we have people over and cook together and argue about whether the cornbread needs more honey. Does it need more honey? Maya asked. Probably, Evan admitted with a grin. Maya laughed and kissed him, tasting the sweetness of their shared dessert on his lips. Outside their kitchen window, the neighborhood was settling into another ordinary evening. People turning off lights, locking doors, preparing for sleep in homes they'd filled with the things and people they loved. Maya looked around her apartment, their apartment now, in all the ways that mattered. Evan's books mixed with hers on the shelf they'd built together, his coffee mug in the dishwasher, his shoes by the door. The window box they'd crafted with their own hands, full of living things they tended together every day. Everything felt exactly as it should be. Not perfect, but real. Not dramatic, but deeply, lastingly right. I love you, Maya said, the words as natural as breathing now. I love you too, Evan replied, pulling her closer. I love all of this, our life, our ordinary, wonderful life. And standing there in her kitchen, their kitchen with the herbs they'd planted together, growing strong outside the window, and the quiet sounds of home all around them, Maya knew that she'd found exactly what she'd been looking for without even knowing she was looking for it. A love that was built to last. A love that grew slowly and surely, like the plants in their window box garden. A love that would weather seasons and storms and years, rooted in trust and tended with daily care. The best kind of love there was,